Hello, entrepreneurs, designers, digital nomads, and business gurus. Welcome to Circle Live, our internet talk show just for Squarespace Circle members. I'm Sam Z, your community events manager.
And I'm Sarah G, team lead for Squarespace Circle. And we have our colleague Taylor Lagoy managing the conversation in the chat. Last month, we had Philip Van Dusen on talking about creating lead magnets.
Got to get those leads. But once you have them, how do you treat them right? Today is all about the client experience. We'll be joined by Shandy Lindley, Senior Director of Customer Support at ChowNow, who will help us understand steps you can take to make happy clients. Sarah, you know this, but maybe not everybody in the audience does. At Squarespace, one of our official values is be the customer. This is something that they actually ask us at orientation, and it comes up in our all hands meetings. It's just sort of part of our whole ethos. On the Circle team, it's definitely not hard for us to be the customer. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, 100%. I know, at least for me, I have a Squarespace website that I maintain. So I'm actively in the position that our Circle members and our customers are in all the time. But I feel like just being on our team, we interact with the Circle member community so often that I think all of us have developed a lot of customer empathy and are always trying to, make life better for our Circle members.
It's all about that empathy. It's all about connecting. And one of the things that I think I've learned about being the customer is that it can be so lonely being a customer. So oftentimes, if I see a customer question, they've got a problem, if I can't solve the question right away, even if I can just give them a fast response saying, I understand you're here, I understand, and I hear your problem here, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you, that at the very least creates a connection. And that makes it feel less lonely for the both of us, to be perfectly honest.
100%. I love that.
But we want to hear from all of you, all of our customers out there in the audience and Circle members. How do you provide a great experience for your clients? Do you ever make a mistake and have to apologize for it? What's an example of a great client experience that you've had as a client? Type out your answers in the chat, and we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
As always, today's Circle Live is brought to you by the Circle Referral Payment Benefit. With eligibility expansion to Rhode Island, Iowa, Nevada, and Kentucky, even more Circle members are now able to earn. You can earn $200 for referring a new annual commerce website or $300 for a new Digital Product Pro plan. You can also earn by referring new annual Acuity scheduling subscriptions and new annual email campaign subscriptions. Fans of the CRPB say it is one of the easiest partner programs to sign up for. You can start earning commissions by talking to your clients about the Squarespace products that can help grow their businesses. To sign up for the Circle Referral Benefit payments right now and start working towards the 4 subscription unlock threshold, visit support.squarespace.com and search Circle Referral.
All right, and we're back. Sarah, I think we see one comment already answering the question, what kind of a client experiences are you able to offer? How are you able to offer a good client experience to your clients? What do we have?
Yeah, seeing your response so far from Leslie, who says weekly status updates. I love that. I feel like in the midst of such a big project, it's really important to keep your clients aware of where you are in the process. So I love that you do that, Leslie. I imagine all of our other Circle members are also great at customer experience, even if they're ruminating on their answers still.
I have a really cute customer experience story as well to add in here. This is just really quick, but back when I first started at Squarespace, my father started up a Squarespace for his nonprofit that he runs. And he had reached out in the chat, and because the customer chat, because my name is so unique, the customer support specialist at Squarespace actually emailed me and said, hey, I noticed that I talked to your dad. I never met this customer support specialist. They didn't owe me any kind of a a comment like that. But the fact that they were able to make a connection with my father and then also just make a connection to me, I just thought was like, made me feel so much better about sending my father to Squarespace, because it just sort of shows the commitment to customer care.
Yeah, I love that so much. Kind of in a similar vein, Chad said, I try to be a good listener. What am I doing well and how can I improve? And I feel like even if you go in with the best of intentions, some things will land, some won't. So I love that Chad is encouraging all of us to be listeners as a part of customer experience as well.
Let's bring on the ultimate expert here. Our guest today is Shandy Lindley. Shandy has worked in the restaurant industry for 10 years. Now, as Senior Director of Customer Support at ChowNow, she works with small businesses to provide the best ordering experience online. Shandy Lindley, welcome to Circle Live.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Also, ultimate expert. That is so generous. Thank you so much. Excited
You are the Senior Director of Customer Success. We wanted to make sure that everybody knew.
Yeah, thank you.
So for those who don't know, ChowNow is an online ordering platform for restaurants, and you're really trying to change the way that ordering platforms work with their clients. For example, you don't take a huge cut out of their profits the way that a lot of them others do. I don't think you take any cut. And you work with the clients to make sure that they are successful. And just in general, you have, award-winning customer service, a real commitment to customer service. One of the reasons that we wanted to bring you in today. The first question I'm going to start with, Shandy, is how are you able to provide as much individualized attention as you do to so many clients?
Yeah, great question. And, something that's interesting is, I've had a team of 6 and I've had a team of 60 and we've had 1,000 clients and now we have 20,000 clients. It really is not terribly different all along the way for all of these different size groups that I've managed and the amount of clients that we've had. One of the things that does get challenging when you start having lots and lots of clients is keeping everything really personalized. And making sure that you are making every single person who is getting a communication from you, hey, this is actually specifically for me. There's nothing worse than sort of getting that mass email that's like, hello, sir/ma'am. Thank you so much for, your business. Making sure that you're personalizing as much as you can. And, sometimes that is using tools that you have to send the right communication to the right folks at the right time. Sometimes it's looking at, is it me that's sending an email? Is that the best thing to do? Is it better for me or to have a person on my team reach out specifically to someone? And really leveraging all the tools you have to make each person feel like, okay, ChowNow or whoever it is contacting me. And, when I need them, is listening to what I'm saying and tailoring the experience to me as much as possible, even if some of that is a little bit automated or, part of a process.
Yeah, I think that there's a balance between automation and something that's manual, right? One strategy that I know that you have is your team connects with a client in the first 30 days. What does that look like and what kind of an impact are you hoping to make with that?
So that is something that I'm so passionate about is, you just signed up to be our client. And if we do not immediately engage with you, it's like, okay, thanks for coming. Good luck, So we do an intro call as soon as possible. And, the most important thing is one, I want our clients to get to know their restaurant success manager is what we call them, right? And that's really their job. Their title is very, very accurate. I want them to make an impression, to know that there's this person who is here for them, no matter what, and to learn about their goals. Because ChowNow has lots of offerings and sometimes they're a good fit. Sometimes they're not. We can sort of just feature dump on you and tell you, here's all the stuff we can do. But it's actually more important if what do you want? Do you want more? Do you want to make more money, which is often the case? Or are you trying to tighten up your operations? Or are you, where are the problems? Where are the successes in your business, in your restaurant? And then it's our job to strategize and try to take a little bit of the weight off of you. Like maybe you don't have to do all the thinking all the time as a business owner, as our client. We're going to make it easy for you and tell you what we think is going to make your life easier and help you achieve your goals.
I love that. I'm curious, kind of from your team's perspective, after someone becomes a client of yours, they've paid a subscription fee, they're kind of like hooked. How do you think about like the value of continuing to invest in a customer after you've already sold them on something? I know, for our circle members, after you've already built someone's site, why would they continue to build that relationship?
Yeah. It's interesting because as a team, like my teams and ChowNow as a company, we're continuously evolving, right? We are getting better at different things. We are finding new ways that we can help a client. I just helped another client with something that maybe is new. And now I want to share that with you. There's, we're always learning, always evolving. And, you also don't know how much your competition is engaging with your clients as well. So you want to make sure that you are top of mind, that like, I'm always thinking about you and here's something interesting and here's a new way that I can support you. And hey, have your goals changed? I bet they have, because hopefully our, sage advice from earlier has helped you crush whatever your earlier goals were. And now it's time to set that bar a little higher. And, how can we help you get there?
Yeah. I like to think we don't have circle members poaching other people's clients, but I do love. We're all friends. We're a big community over competition here. But that being said, I love the idea of like, you don't know who else they're just, naturally running into. They knew they needed a website, but now 6 months later, they need, an e-commerce strategy or something. How do you continue to be top of mind for them? I love that.
Yeah.
And just how I would encapsulate this into one phrase is customer service is a competitive edge. I love thinking that like that is the thing that you offer above everybody else. Before we leave this topic, I do want to mention that ChowNow is an extension partner of Squarespace, so it is super easy to integrate the ordering platform into a Squarespace site for all of our Circle members who are watching. But also because Circle members love learning about ways, you said it, Shandy, to make money. I also want to mention that the ChowNow Circle member perk has been live for a while, and it is pretty substantial. Through this perk, Circle members can earn $500 for referring new restaurants to ChowNow. Taylor is going to share that link to the perk in the chat, so you can find out about becoming a ChowNow supporter and making some money off of that as well. Just while we're on the topic of money, I want to just ask this question. Shandy, you said it before. How often are you hearing from customers, just like when you're asking them this question, how can we help you? The answer is just help me make more money.
Yeah, that is very often. And I think what's important there, because that's sort of the very top level answer of I want to make more money. Yeah, same. Me too. And then it's important to just like dig deep, right? Like what is it that you think is holding you back from making more money? Or, how much more money do you want to make? Like, are we trying to double your profits, or are we just trying to increase a couple percentage points? What area of your business is maybe not making as much money? And like really sort of digging in and unpacking, because that's where you find the gems, right? And having that conversation. Customers will rarely tell you exactly what you're looking for right off the bat, right? We do a lot of tech support on my team. And someone will call and say like, my tablet is just broken. It's broken. And they want a new one. And it's like, okay, you know what? We got to dig in and figure, it turns out it's your Wi-Fi. I could have sent you a new tablet. I could have done that thing immediately, and your problem still would have persisted because I didn't dig in. And so just trying to sort of answer that question of, okay, well, here's how you can make more money without digging in is, unlikely to produce those results.
So moving on to our next topic here, you told us that you want your clients to think of you as a partner. That seems like part of this a little bit. So how does that look, clients thinking of you as a partner?
So, I think what's really important about a client thinking of you as a partner is that, yes, like I'm in the service industry, right? We're here to help, we're here to serve. However, I cannot do everything for you. It is very important that you, my partner in this, are also sort of meeting me halfway. Or you know what? I'll do 60, you do 40, whatever you want. But like you've got to, do a little bit of lift here as well. And so that's really what we try to make sure our clients understand is that, if you do want, we are always here for you to help. We're going to go above and beyond, but we're also going to give you these tools and make sure you know what you have to do and really clearly communicating that in that I cannot solve every problem in your restaurant. I would love to, I cannot do it. And so, how can I give you like very clear directives of what you need to do to help me to help you achieve your goals?
Clear directives. Now, what about the opposite problem where you're setting boundaries for actually I'm the expert and you need to listen to me in this case?
That is a hard conversation to have, right? And I think it's one of the most important conversations. I think a lot of those harder convos are the ones that are going to be the most helpful in the end. There's a lot of our clients, they're business owners. They're smart, they're savvy, they're successful, they know what's worked. But when they come to us and say, hey, my online ordering isn't working, and we give you the advice and you don't take it, we know online ordering. We are the experts in this, the ultimate experts in online ordering. And really being honest and like, no, this is what is going to work. Like we've got data. I can tell you about other clients where this has not worked or this has worked. And really being honest is really important. If you just sort of back down and say like, okay, do whatever you want, they're not going to be successful. And then ultimately you're not going to have a good relationship, right? Like it will end badly if you are not able to have that hard conversation and, get them to sort of turn it around because no one's gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I feel like we hear about this all the time for our circle members. They have a client and the client's like, this is what my color should be. This is what my copy should be. And, circle member does a first pass. The client's like, no, let's change all these things. And it's like, well, you hired the circle member because they know that they're really good at web design and you liked all the things in their portfolio. And I imagine their clients didn't design those, so they wouldn't be in their portfolio. You know what I mean? And so I know there's like totally that tension of like wanting to please your client and make sure that you're meeting their expectations while also like being able to lean on your own expertise. I'm curious if you ever say no to requests that you get from your clients.
All the time. And it is, it's hard, right? Because ultimately, if you have clients, you are in the people business. You are in the business of hospitality. I hate to break it to you. If you thought you weren't, you are. I thought I worked in tech. I do not. I work in hospitality. I'm like still a restaurant manager at heart. There are times where I know that I want to say yes. That is who I am. Like I want to say yes. My team wants to say yes. We want to go above and beyond. And sometimes that's the right thing to do. And then sometimes you are going to go above and beyond and you're going to say yes to something that in your heart you cannot support, that will not work for the client, but you just want to make them happy. And you're going to end up working so hard only to fail them in the end. And they will not be happy with what you did because you couldn't support it and you weren't honest with yourself and you wanted to kick that hard conversation down the road a little bit. But you're either going to have it now or you're going to have it later. And it's actually a lot better to say no in the moment. Hey, I can't do this. I can't support this. This won't work. And let's strategize on something different. What you don't ever want to do is set the expectation that like, for sure I can do it. And then you fail.
For sure. Do you
and
think
I relearn that lesson all the time, by the way. I like continuously am having to like have this very conversation with myself.
Yeah. Do you think that that's something that you learned from your 10 years experience in the hospitality industry?
Oh, for sure. I think I probably learned everything, all of my foundational sort of core tenets as a leader. I learned managing restaurants. in New York City, right? Like the, how to deal with large teams, large diverse teams, how to just like be so overwhelmed, right? You're in the weeds in the middle of a restaurant and you've got people who are happy, people who are sad. No, we can't do these things for you. Like, our kitchen's on fire right now. We can't do it. And how do you sort of gently and confidently, communicate to your clients and to your team what you need to do to be successful? And yeah, all of that was learned on a restaurant floor.
I wonder if the fact that you say no sometimes makes some of the yeses sweeter for both you and for your clients. I'm thinking I went out to dinner last week and the service is just like exceptional. And there were some things that they were like, no, we can't do that. But there were other things where like my partner wanted like an extra of something that came with one of the dishes. And they were like, I don't know, we've never done that before. Let me check on that. And like they made it happen. And it's like, wow, like I can tell that the person that I'm working with like knows what they're really good at and is going to give me what they're really good at instead of just the things that I want because I think they're best for me.
Yeah.
So
you trust
love the parallels.
Right? Like you trust them because they're being very honest with you, both with the good and the bad. And at the end, it's a much better experience.
Love that.
Well, we have one more topic here before we turn it over to Q&A, and it is a fertile topic. We're sort of circling around it right now, but the topic is difficult clients, something that I think all Circle members could really empathize with. I want to go deep on this. You told us that ChowNow employees have a training module called Handling the Heat.
Right.
What is in that training module?
Yeah. So, we are the industry that we are in. We've got restaurant partners who are very, very busy and they don't have time. And they're stressed. And they probably didn't get a lunch break and they've been on their feet all day. And then on the other side, we have diners who are notoriously hangry. No one is their best self when their food delivery is 40 minutes late, right? Like we've all been there. No one's proud of who they are at that moment. And those are the folks who are sometimes calling in. And so it is very important that you are ready to receive those kinds of communications and understanding what how to take them down a notch, right? That's the first thing that we teach our team is someone's going to come in really hot. You are in control of this conversation. You are the expert. They're going to be yelling. They're going to be loud. They're going to be talking really fast. You are going to be cool, calm, and collected. Because when I'm talking like this, you're not yelling at me. Not for very long. You're gonna copy this, and we're all going to just take a step back, relax. Look how relaxed we are right now. We're chill. It's all good. And you're going to be very confident. And that's really most of the time, like that is the most important thing. It's like coming into something, don't get hot, know what you're talking about, be honest, communicate, and you'll be okay. Sometimes that does not work and you have someone who crosses a boundary. And, we also teach the team that, hey, if someone is saying terrible things to you, if they're saying something so rude, so mean, directed at you, we give people warnings. Hey, don't talk to me like that. I'm here to help you. And this is your first warning. So please don't use that language or whatever it is. And if it keeps up, then say, hey, I'm going to disconnect the call and let's talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow. And I'll call you back at 10 a.m. and we'll talk about this. And if they keep doing it, okay, I'm disconnecting the call. I'm going to turn off. And then there's also times where someone is so inappropriate that they can't be your client anymore. And that has happened sometimes, and that is okay. There are times where, you have to protect yourself and you have to protect your team. And if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. And we don't do this lightly, right? Like you can say a bad word to us. We'll survive it. But when it gets really personal, when it gets really intense, if it gets a little bit too scary, then we will fire a client over that because you've got to sort of protect yourself.
We spoke a little bit in our pre-show conversation about offboarding clients, and sometimes it happens for a bad reason. Sometimes it happens just because that's just kind of the natural evolution. Can you talk about your process for offboarding a client?
Sure. So we hate to see clients go, but sometimes it happens. And the first thing that we want to do is really always understand why a client is leaving us. And for ChowNow, we're not so much like a project based, where there's not really a natural end to leaving ChowNow. You are leaving because you are either you're going out of business, or you are getting some other online ordering service. So we want to understand why. So we have a consultation with every client of like, hey, what did we do really well? What's not working? So that we can really try to address it. And a lot of the times, in that conversation, we are able to address things and not have to offboard the client. But on the rare occasion that a client no longer wants to use ChowNow, we really try to make it as seamless of a process as possible, because that's their last impression of us. And they could go to a competitor who does not have award-winning customer support. A lot of them don't. And maybe that actually is a bigger deal to them than they thought. And they could come back. And I want to make sure that clients have that great experience. And, I was thinking about, you go to a great restaurant and you have this beautiful meal and you have great service. And this happens all the time where, like, at the end, getting your check takes forever. And that you're antsy and you're like, okay, now I'm annoyed. I just had this great time. But the lasting impression that I have as I leave this establishment is I'm irritated. And that is never what I want for a client. And so I think it's really important that process is as seamless as possible, because you never know who's going to come back. And that's your closing act. So make it a good one.
I love that.
I'm curious, what's a really good customer client experience that you've had, Shandy?
Oh, personally, like in my regular.
Since you are a practitioner of the trade of customer service, what's something that has really impressed you?
Yeah, what's funny? I overly engage with customer support teams all the time. Like, if I have even the slightest whisper of an inconvenience, I'm like, let's see what their support is like, like, let's see how I can contact them, what I can do. I actually recently had a great customer experience with Airbnb. I am a host of an Airbnb. Actually, the customer support for that Airbnb is excellent. So if you haven't rented, it's just me chatting. And I had something come up with someone that was staying at my Airbnb. And that is kind of a weird position to be in. And I had never had to really escalate something to Airbnb support before, but I had a wonderful experience with them. And it was the thing that's interesting, I think, about great service, great support, great experience is it doesn't ever need to be this like above and beyond thing. It just needs to be like consistent. And I need to trust in this process, right? Like, did this support agent, like, you blow my mind? No, but I was able to very, very quickly get it resolved. I knew it was happening every single step of the way. There was no point in time where I was like, I wonder, do I call? Did they call? Are they communicating? Like, what do I do? The response times were incredible. And for me, like, that's peak. Right. Like, and I tell my team that all the time. Not every sort of order refund that we process can be this like just beautiful experience, but it's that consistency that for me is the most important thing and just delights me.
When have you seen your team go above and beyond in that way?
Oh, my team goes above and beyond as much as they possibly can. Sometimes I will, I'll be looking at different cases and like, God, you spent a lot of time on that, but like, I'm so glad that you delighted this person, so much, but it took you an hour. So we have, I will say for my support team, we have a lot of deliveries that happen. Delivery is a very tricky thing delivering food. There's a lot of different parties involved, and there's a lot of feelings involved, and there's a lot of places where that can sort of fall out, and something can go wrong. And I see my team going above and beyond all the time with communication and, talking to our restaurant partners to see like, hey, can we throw in like a free dessert for this person? We're going to give them some ChowNow bucks. We're going to go above and beyond. We're going to call them back. We're going to, just like this a huge level of effort just to make sure that like hot French fries get to where they're supposed to go. And they're so excited and they're so passionate about it. And I see them all the time. We've got steps of service and we've got things that they need to do. And they will so frequently go beyond those without me having to say anything, that it's really exciting to see.
Well, it definitely shows in the awards that you win and the connections that you have with your customers. We're going to take a quick break here for another fun little ad. When we get back, Shandy will take your questions in the chat. So audience, put your questions in the chat. Even a couple of people have left comments. Even if you just have a comment, a personal experience, that also gives us something interesting to talk about. So questions or comments, put those in the chat for Shandy, and we will see you in a few.
If you build websites for a living, full or part-time, a solid online presence is the foundation of your business. We also know sometimes it's easy to get caught up building client sites and let your own fall to the wayside. That's why we created Adri, a new website template created specifically with web designers in mind. The Adri template is designed as a starting point to help designers like you save time by making it quick to launch your own portfolio site. This new template helps clients discover your business, learn about your services, and get in touch to start working with you. Adri also comes with sections for client testimonials, case studies, and an Acuity scheduling block for appointment booking. Whether you're looking to launch a new portfolio or refresh your existing one, check out Adri on the Squarespace template store.
And we're back. Let's dive right into Q&A here. Again, get your questions into the chat for Shandy about client experience. Sarah, what are we seeing so far?
Yeah, seeing some cool discussion in the chat. I love this comment from Celestine that says, at the end of the project, I send them off with a personalized Loom video so they can have their own support library, and I let them know that I'm available for other tasks. I feel like that's such a great way to keep folks engaged and as you said, Shandy, like leave such a lasting impression.
I love that. And, because we have clients who build their own websites and we have clients who get them built for them. And, I have one of the things I think that we see a lot from my support team is that our restaurant partners are not thinking about their website all the time. And when they have to, they're like, oh my God, what is my password? What is the thing? Who built it? I don't remember. And so we have a lot of back and forth over this. And so some of the things I'm seeing in the chat, I love because I'm thinking about our own clients where I'm like, oh, if some of our clients had this personalized Loom videos, they maybe wouldn't have to call me so much.
100%. I'm seeing something similar from John, who said, with websites, I found offering free support for a long time after delivery is a great opportunity to have another touch point. You can then offer additional services and encourage referrals. The return on investment of another call or email response has generally always been positive. I love that. Just always saying, top of mind.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
With some of these processes, Shandy, I want to also think about comparing, working with lots of clients as ChowNow does to maybe just a few clients in the way that Circle members do. As ChowNow has scaled, what are some processes that you've had to scale with it? Some customer service processes that maybe worked easier, more lightly when you were working with fewer clients, but now you've had to kind of reconfigure them with a larger set of clients.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of trying to automate as much as you can. And what's interesting is sometimes I think people don't think that they need to think about that when they don't have a lot of clients. But I think that if you're just one person, right, that's the most important thing. You've only got, these 10 fingers that can send so many emails and, build so many websites, right? So, and I love to do as much sort of set it and forget it as I can, and making sure that, after you offboard someone, are these emails going out automatically? Right? Are you setting a calendar reminder for yourself in those first 30 days automatically that you need to check in on someone? What are those things you can do? And it doesn't take there's not a lot of this stuff you can do with your Gmail and with the tools that you're already using. You don't necessarily, I have a lot of fancy tools now, but you haven't always, right? And I have a lot of these principles have served me really well with it, a team of 6 and a team of 200.
Absolutely. And I love the idea that the more you operationalize, the more better you're set up to take on a larger client base. So just scaling yourself. We have a question from Andy that says, when you offer your sage advice to a client and they don't take it, but you want to remind them of it in the future when they inevitably might need to hear it again, how do you represent it to them? Is there a nice way to say, I told you so?
Oh, for sure. There's, of course, a nice way to say, I told you so. What we will sometimes say, we're looking at your website traffic, or we're looking at your order volume, we're looking at whatever it is. It's great when you can tie it into something real that's not so much opinion-based, or again, I just had another client who tried X, Y, and Z, and they just had such great success. What do you think about trying that? Another sort of customer support trick is to give the illusion of choice, right? Of, hey, what would you rather do, this or this? We can do this one or we can do this one. Either are fine. Both are your idea. And then they can choose what it is, And so I find that helps us a lot have those kind of I told you so moments where I'm like, I'm going to let you decide, but I actually am deciding.
Yeah, 100%. That's so funny. We have a comment, I think, from Amela that says, I include a training session with clients once the website is completed so they can make basic edits / changes to the site. I find that when they do need additional help, they will reach out and understand that it's a new, I don't know that acronym, probably statement of work, similar, because you have equipped them and given them their money's worth.
Yeah, that's great. And now you're trusted, right? Like they can trust you that you are here to set them up for success in a moment where they might have they're, a little confused. They can search their email, or they can search, whatever you sent them and figure out how to troubleshoot themselves. It's nice.
For sure.
I just looked it up. MOU stands for Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, I like that I'm learning something. I mean, I've learned something this whole session, this whole gathering, but that was so good. Thank you for keeping us on our toes.
Shandy, I love that trick that you just shared about the false choice. I don't want to call it a false choice. That makes it sound bad. I mean, it's actually
only good choices is all we have.
Only good choices, exactly. You give them the impression of choice, which I think is not a bad thing. I think actually most people, even if they found out that it was a false choice, might appreciate the thought that went into giving them that choice. But I want to think about this, like these psychological, these tricks, these customer service tricks. What are some other, customer service tricks would you have to share with us?
Yeah. So, by the way, you can also use these on like your significant other as well. Like work in a lot of ways. So. I actually see that with my partner all the time where she's like, are you customer servicing me right now? I'm like, what's which one are we doing? Another trick that we have is, often when you're in this business, like, what the next question is going to be. And so we try to sort of get ahead of that. Like, I know that when we're going to be talking to, if I just say to someone who is waiting for a refund, hey, I have to go check and see if I can process that refund. And I just say that has now left them with the idea that I might not be able to, or, and so they're now going to get more upset. So it's like, what can I can anticipate what is going to sort of put them at ease. I can anticipate what their next question is. And it is so valuable to say, hey, I'm going to go check to see if I can refund that for you. I'm sure It's going to be fine. And I'll be right back with you. Just 1 second. I just need to double check with the restaurant, and just adding those little things in. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying the exact same thing. But in a way where I'm just looking around the corner a little bit. And you will put everyone at ease, and they'll be happy to talk to you.
What a great way to end things today. Shandy, you gave us a choice to have a fun conversation and learn something, and we actually got both. So thank you very much for not making us choose.
Yeah, of course. Both good choices. Thank you so much. It was great to chat with all of you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you
much.
for being our ultimate expert today. That is all for today's Circle Live. Thank you for joining us live. To join the Circle Live after party, you can simply click the link to join the session on the left-hand sidebar, or the choice is yours. Taylor is also going to share the link in the chat. Follow it there as well. Until next Circle Live, this is Sam Z.
And I'm Sarah G.
Reminding you that site styles are a choice you make every single day.
Bye, everybody.